In this session, I'm going to cover exterior elevations. If you take a look at the module, you're going to see this reference JPEG that we need to insert into our AutoCAD drawing and use as a reference. We're going to go and open up our drawing, and in the model space there, first thing we're going to do is insert that JPEG. Under the Insert tab, we have the Attach tool. You can also type in attach, enter. And then we're going to navigate to this image after we download it from Canvas. Press OK and OK, and then I'm going to put it somewhere below my house here. Click to release the size. Okay. The first thing we're going to do is change the brightness or the fade, make it a little bit lower. So I'll select the object and turn fade to perhaps around like 50 or 60%. Okay. And then scale it to make sure it's the appropriate size. We have some dimensions here that we can relate to in our elevations. For instance, the column for the deck location, as well as the column for the deck location on the other side. That could be one reference. And if I want to draw a line, so L enter, from the edge of the column here, and then draw another one from the edge of this column, that is how big it needs to be. What we can do now is take this image and move it, and enter, and I'll try to align the edge of this column to this line, and now I can scale it. Select SC for scale. Select anywhere really as your base point, doesn't matter. And then type in R for reference. And what I want to do is from this point, so I'm going to select a point along this line to this point, which is the end of the column, needs to be about this big. And now this drawing is scaled. And since all four of them are on the same sketch, they're all basically scaled as well. The assignment asks to draw two exterior elevations, so we can choose any two you wish. This one particularly has two windows, so this is this side right here, these two big windows. And also this side has the big window on the right, big window on the left, and it's a south elevation. That's the big window on the right, big window on the left, and south elevation in here. Okay, this one is the west elevation, and the one with the door is the east. So that's the east and west in there. Pick any two you like. For this assignment, I'm going to choose the south elevation. Basically, need to align it so that I'm aligning the appropriate elevation to my line work in here. So here I have the west and then east and a small window appearing. So it looks like I'm aligned appropriately on this side. If you were to choose the north elevation, this elevation is actually mirrored because these stairs are actually these and these stairs are actually these. So be careful. You would need to mirror this to the other side in order for you to be able to follow the lines from the plan to your elevation. So you would activate the mirror command, select this, MI, enter, and then you would mirror this guy and align it to the top. Now this stair is this stair and vice versa. Nevertheless, let's go and I'm going to set up my view appropriately. So in here, I basically want to drag these lines further down so it can cross my south elevation. Same thing on this side. And I want to align to my new column locations. So I basically got to take this picture and move it so that the edge of this column matches this column. And this should match on this side as well. Okay, so probably just made this bigger by mistake. Let me rescale this. Scale. Anywhere is the base point. Reference from this point to this point needs to be this big. Okay, just make sure this is aligned correctly. Very good. Okay. Now that the scale is correct and I have the first few line items, I basically have to use my plan locations to locate where my actual railings and everything is. I don't want to trace off of this because this is not accurate. Only the information that I don't have is the one that I'm going to trace. So I have my window location, so I can go ahead and project this line down and project this line down. So I can copy basically every important line. So I have this line here. I have this line here. This line here. Window, window, corner. I also have the beginning of the railing and the beginning of the railing on this side. And I will need to align those with what's currently there. Now I'm going to draw a ground plane. So one line for the ground. It's going to go from this point here, that's the ground, and I'm going to draw across my drawing this way. Right now I am modeling everything under whatever layer that was activated here last, E fixture. So we should be kind of creating our own layers as we're drawing this, but these are grid lines anyway. I'm going to delete them, so I'm not going to go crazy layering these lines now. Okay, and now I need to copy some of the horizontal datums. Now these I get here from the drawing, so I'm going to copy this ground line all the way to the top here. And you don't want to have really odd dimensions. You want to get something that's somewhat even numbers. So this one is 19, 9, and 15/16. I can just make this one 19 foot 9. 19 feet 9 inches. And enter. And that's that line here. I'll go down to this roof line here. This is about 9 foot 9. So again, 9 feet 9 inches. Enter. The next line down is the line of the lower roof that looks like 9.5, 9 foot 5 inches, which also seems to be the top of the mullion for the window. That's okay. This one will be 5 foot 8 for the windows. And I have another important horizontal one here. That's 7 foot 11. And 7 foot 5. Again, these are all approximation. Now I can clean this up a little bit by using the trim command, TR. And anything below the ground I don't need, so I can get rid of all that. I need the window in here, so I can delete anything that's intersecting before or after the window here. I'll go and do the same thing on this window. Delete all this line work around it. Okay, and these are the lines. This line I use to create this one, so I can click on it and get rid of it. I don't need this anymore. It doesn't do me any good. Also, this is the lines that I'm using to create the roof. I don't need these two either. Neither do I need these two. This is the roof line that doesn't appear in the plan, so I can just draw it in here as accurate as possible and copy this over about 9 feet away, and then extend these two lines and trim the excess that you do not need. Trim, that's TR, enter, enter. Okay. And just keep going around till I finish cleaning this drawing. I don't need these two lines anymore, or these two lines. I can trim this nicely, but I need this line for the right side and the left side, so I might want to copy it and paste it in the same place twice, so that one will go to the right, one go to the left. TR, I can use fillet instead. That's one side. Just make sure my fillet radius is turned off. Radius should be 0 so that it doesn't give me a curved corner. So that's one corner. And here's another corner. I'm just cleaning all this stuff up. Almost there. We have another line in here to the outside. I'm going to take this one and copy it over. Try to give it a solid number. It looks about 1'4". And I'm sure the same thing happens on the other side. So we'll take this and copy it also. This one is 1'6". And I will fillet these guys here. Same thing on the other side. Okay. This line of column can stop right here. These can stop here. And the column goes from top all the way to the bottom. And this line actually extends all the way through. So we need to trim this area here and take this line and extend it all the way through here, and then another one from here to here. In the line of the first step, I'm just going to trim it short by estimating that the height of here, copy, from here to here is about 9 inches to the top, or no, actually more like 10 inches. So let's do 9.5, see how close we get there. That looks about right. And here is my first step drawing. And I can get rid of all the extra additional lines that are distracting me in my model. Okay, I have my first step here as well. And this line can be broken. So there you go. So you basically getting the hang of this. What we're doing is any vertical, say any vertical lines which appears horizontally, right? Any of these height parameters we don't know from our plan. Those are the ones that we're drawing from here, and we're trying to draw at increments of full or half of an inch. And as far as the actual width of the building, the location of the windows, we are getting these references from the lines that we have in here. Okay, because this is accurate. This is only a sketch, which gets us just close enough. But now this is in the same exact location at our plan, and they talk to each other. We will continue on doing this until we complete our entire section in here, or elevation in this particular case. Okay, we have a few horizontal datums that I just can copy over, and then the vertical ones that are remaining are the thicknesses of the columns as well as the widths of the treads. Okay, so we'll take the width of the tread. I'm going to go back into my floor plan and double check what this width is. And we annotated it before that it's 10 inches. That is the width of the step. Therefore, I can take this guy and draw a line from this point in that is 10 inches and then go up. How much I go up is the same as this one, which was 9.5. I can select these two lines right here and copy them from one point to the end point here to the next end point, all the way until I get to the top step. There you go. And then I can get rid of this line, and we'll draw a line that will cross this right here. Looks like it's about 40 or 38, 39 degrees, give or take. Trim and trim. The size of the columns, we'll also get that from the plan. It was 8 inches. I'll copy this over. 8 inches. And you can start seeing a lot of the discrepancies in here. 8 inches was up here for the column, but the foundation seems to be an additional 4 inches. Okay, so let's make sure that we get that right. I'll copy this over 12 inches. And we have a horizontal datum in here that we need to draw. So I'll copy the one at the bottom over. That seems to be about 3 feet. There you go. We can basically take, since the steps are the same, once we complete this one, we can mirror over to the other side. So I'm going to get rid of these lines in here. Let's finish this part up, and then we'll mirror it to the other side. This is the line of the floor now, the finished floor, so that can extend the building. And then we have another line in here, which we can get from our plan. That's where the beginning of the house is. That's this one right here. All right. TR, enter, enter, and just trim the areas that you don't need. Okay, there we go. The next thing is the railing. So the railing is going to be at the same slope as this line that we drew here. So we can copy this one to the top in here. It looks like it's about 4 feet 4 inches. So we'll type in 4 feet 4 inches. Okay. Maybe a little bit higher. 4 feet 8 inches would have been a good guess. And we'll assume that this one is about 2 inches thick. And now we need those horizontal lines. I'll take the floor, copy, and the top of this is about 3 feet and 3 foot 2. So that's 38 inches, and this one is going to be also 2 inches thick. Use the fillet, and I will fillet these two together. And there's no railing of the column, so I'll just trim right here. I need to extend these lines all the way to the edge. And it looks like it's rounded, so I'll use the fillet, and I'll use the radius, so that's F, enter, R, enter, a radius of 1 inch. And let's see if that is good. That looks about just right. It doesn't like the 1 inch in here. Okay, so let's try something smaller. Fillet, that's F, enter, R, enter, 0.5. It likes that better. Okay. And then we need the balusters. And the balusters look like they're in the middle of each one of these treads. So that's exactly what we will do, is we will shoot out a line in here. That is the center of the tread. We'll make the baluster also 2 inches. So we're going to offset 1 inch. That's O, enter, and then 1, enter. Click on this, offset to the right. Click on this, offset to the left, and delete that middle line. So this is the baluster in the middle of the stair that I can select and copy from the edge of every tread and place one where it needs to be. And then I will extend the X, enter, enter, these lines to the tread or to the railing above. All right, it seems like I have one more horizontal plane in here that I want to copy over. This one is about 1'4", so it's 16 inches. And it connects this line to this line. Just be careful when you use the fillet. Make sure that you clear your radius to 0 when you use it again. Fillet, radius 0. Otherwise, you're going to get rounded corners where you don't want. All right, let's take these as well. Again, they're 2 inches apart, or 2 inches wide, and they're about, if we try to guess what the distance between them is, about 4 inches or 3.5 inches between each other. So that's about maybe 4 inches on center, give or take. So we're going to draw in a line in here. Okay. From here to there. And we want to offset this guy or copy it about 4 inches away. Okay, so we want the thickness of this. So we're going to copy, it's going to be 2 inches, the same as the vertical ones that we placed down there, here. And we want to copy this basically 4 inches on center. So somewhere from the center in here, and we can go in this direction, type 4, enter. The next one will be 8, and then 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, and perhaps we can do one more. Okay, this looks a little bit closer than what the drawing behind is showing. Let me double check the measurements. From around the center to the center here is about 4 inches. So it looks like we're okay. This is fine as is. Now we need to duplicate this entire thing on this side, right here. So I'm going to get rid of this line in here. And since it replicates, I will select everything in this area. So we're going to cross select from left to right. And I want to deselect any lines that I don't want by holding Shift. And basically what I want to do is I need some sort of a reference. So this is the edge, the same as this edge. So I'll select this one as well. Mirror it, MI. Go far away, somewhere past the half mark. Click and click. And now I can select all this geometry and move it. And I'll use this line as my reference line from here to there. And it should align somewhat the same. Okay, and for this, we need to extend EX, enter, enter. And we want to extend these two lines. Remember that the extend for tool, in order for it to work, it has to see the line that it's extending to. So you don't want to zoom in too much like this. You want to make sure you see the line you want to extend to. And this will extend these lines over. This one. And we can copy these over. And I'll use the last one as my base point to copy the next batch. And delete any extra one after I'm done. Okay, so this is my elevation. The only thing I'm missing is the mullions for the windows. Let's go and measure how wide I made these mullions earlier. So DI for distance check. This looks like it's about 2.5 inches wide. I want to make my life easier. I already have this line and this line. I can just quickly in here draw these reference lines. And then I will take them and move them vertically all the way down. And here they are referenced in here already. And now I can use the extend tool to extend this to the top and to the bottom. Draw. And I can kind of guess about where the half mark is. Make this one also 2.5 inches. And use the trim tool to keep my vertical consistent or through, and I'm cutting the horizontal in half. There you go, should look something like that. And now I need to take these two and copy them using this line as a reference, and that will be the top. And I'll do the opposite. I'll select these two lines, copy them, using this line as my reference point, and this will be my window. I can select this whole thing without the exterior boundary. because I have that for the other window already. And I can copy this over. And remember the stretch tool. S, enter, C, enter. Cross select from left to right the area of interest. Enter. And then I can click and stretch this over. This line needs to be 2.5 inches from the edge, so I'll copy it over 2.5. Now I can use the stretch, S, enter, C, enter. And I'm interested in these points in here. So I selected them, and I'll stretch from here to here. And this will be window number 2. This completes this elevation all in monotone, in one line weight. So we need to actually start putting this on layers. I didn't want to talk about layers earlier because the tracing / measurement process is already kind of cognitive as it is. It becomes very confusing to introduce too many topics at the same time. So one way that I prefer creating my elevations is tracing it the same way I just showed you. And now I need to create the layers that I need for the elevations. One standard that you will see often is that we create E or elevation, elev layers, one that's called dark, medium, and light. And we basically use 3 line weights throughout the entire elevation, in addition to the ground plane. We don't use a wall, a window, a door. Some offices do, but by creating this light, medium, and dark, it creates more flexibility. We're going to go to this new layers in here and type in A for architecture, elev, E-L-E-V, and then dark. And then we're going to create a total of 4 layers. The second one is going to be A, E-L-E-V, medium, A, E-L-E-V, light, and lastly is A, dash E-L-E-V, dash ground. For the ground, I'll keep as cyan. I'm going to choose a different color that I haven't used in the past, so I'll use 19. For the light, we can choose 11. And again, you can choose whichever colors you want. For the medium, I'm going to choose 10, go a shade darker. And make sure that you're not using these colors in here. So once we set the CTB, we do not override it. And I'm looking for a elev dark. And I'll choose color 41. Close this. And let's set the line weights in here. So I'll select the ground plane in here and put it under the correct layout or layer. That is A, elev, ground. The dark is the closest and the light is the furthest away. So this elevation is almost pretty much flat because when you look at here, this is all the darkest right in front of you. This one right here pops out more. So this is the closest. And then the lightest is these guys because they're the furthest away. So these railings up here, the one on an angle, are lighter than these railings. We can assume or take the entire stair with the railing, this whole section here, and we're going to make this one light. So that's A, elev, light. Now this gets tricky here because this line is, part of it is in the back and part of it is in the front. Okay, so I'm actually missing to connect these two in here. And these should be two different line segments. You can use a property called match property, a command called match property, MA, and select a layer that you want to match to, and select the one that you want to match, and it matches the layer. So this part is the lightest all the way in the back. This is medium because it's railings. Railings and windows are usually very light, or you go on the light layer, or maybe medium at most. We'll take all these and put them at medium. These here will be at light. Probably have the same scenario as the other side. Okay, so we'll extend this line over, trim this little piece, and draw a small segment, and use MA to select this layer and match this item to this layer. The remaining in here needs to be set to the darkest. So we're going to select only the line work that we want to be dark. And we'll put these under a Elif dark. You shouldn't be seeing any cyan in here. If you're seeing cyan, that means you've missed something. So I'll use MA to get the lines that I missed. See another cyan up here. Ground planes are usually dark. So we're going to make those dark. Okay, and let's take a look at it now. We can take this now and move it away since we don't need this as a reference here anymore. Here is our elevation. And if we go to the 14 exterior elevation, we can take this viewport and copy it. We need two of them, one for each elevation for our assignment. We'll make this one large. And double click inside, turn off the grid, and we're going to keep this also at 3/8 of an inch, same as our plans. And navigate until you find your elevation. Double click outside the viewport, select the viewport, and move it down if you want to make it bigger. And next thing here, we'll go to the Annotate tab and create on a quick dimension. We want to dimension key elements in this elevation. So the top of the roof, lower of the roof, where the ground is after the last step, and where the ground plane is. And then hit enter. And then you can go to horizontally, because I'm trying to create a horizontal dimension this way. And I will move this closer to to my building once it's done. Remember, the stretch command will probably be useful to grab all these and move them over. That's S, enter, C, enter, cross select, enter, and then you can move these closer to the building that way. We are trying not to have any overlaps. Remember that. So when it comes to this line right here, try to just move it back a little bit. So these are three key elements. They're the same on this side, so there's no reason to repeat it. And we'll go to our drawing in here, and what we want to do is take a note of the colors that we've used. So make sure also your dimensions are on the correct layer. So I'll choose my dimensions, and I'll make sure that I put them under ANODIM. And I'll open up my layer properties dialog box one more time and take a note of the colors that I used. For the ground is 19, I want that to be very dark. Then I have 10, 11, and 41 is the dark. Okay, 10, 11, 41, and then 19 is my ground plane. Control P, color 19 is going to be very thick. So line weight, I'll probably go up to probably 0.7. Let's see how thick that is. And then we have 10, 19, and 41. So for 10, we will keep this one at the lightest. We'll even put a 90% screening. For the number 11, we're going to bump it up to 1 or 0.1 millimeters. And then we have 41 is the last color. And this one is going to be at 0.25. Save and close, and let's take a look at what that looks like. Zooming here, you see the ground plane is very thick and dominant. Then we have color 3. Here's the darkest, here's medium, and here's light. Something is up here though. This is supposed to be the lightest of them all. And this is supposed to be medium. So let's take a look at what happened. Okay. I think I might have mixed them together. And also this one is close to this one. So 11 is my medium and 10 is the lightest. Let me go confirm that. Under E11, dark was correct, 41. Ground was correct. Light is 11 and 10 is the medium, so I confused them together. I need to make sure 11 is lighter than 10. Control P, go to color 11. That should be at 0 and 0.9 or 90. And then for color number 10, that's going to be 100. And let's make that 0.9. Save, and let's go to a preview. This looks much nicer now. This is the lightest, and this is slightly darker. This is a decent line weight for this elevation. Now we could go the extra step and create the hatch on the ground, and that will complete our assignment. So let's go here, and we want to create a hatch. So I'm going to type in rectangle to create a rectangle here. And I'm going to choose a hatch using the earth hatch. Scroll down, and we're looking for earth. And I'm going to change the scale here. Let's try 20. Even bigger. Let's try 40. That's a little bit better. And I don't really need that rectangle anymore. I just need the rectangle to create the hatch. So I'll click on it and delete it. Now when I go to select this, I can create a new layer for this, or I can use it as the A wall pattern that I've used in the past if I want. And last but not least, let's go in and take a look at a print preview. And there you go. This is how you create an exterior elevation. So for the homework assignment, you need to repeat what I just did for another elevation. So you want to pick either north or south elevation and pick either west or east elevation, put them on the same sheet and submit them for assignment number 14.